Presiding Officer, there is a culture of secrecy and cover-up at the heart of this dysfunctional and incompetent SNP government. The dodgy deal with Liberty Steel, the ferry fiasco, the symbolic deposit return scheme, even heartbreaking tragedies at the Queen Elizabeth, all shrouded in secrecy. But incompetence has consequences, whether it's hidden from view or not. Freedom of information laws are one of the last defences against SNP cover-up, but ministers are riding roughshod over these laws. But new data we are publishing today shows the number of FOI requests the Scottish Government has passed on to ministers for approval has risen fivefold. And once a case goes to ministers to sign off or to cover up, waiting times double, with 1 in every 6 FOI breaching legally binding response times. So can I ask the First Minister, what's he got to hide?
First Minister.
There is nothing to hide, and it is a sign of, I think, increasing desperation that Anna Sarwar is relying on insinuation, relying on trying to throw as much mud as he possibly can to hope that things stick, taking that scattergun approach. But actually, of course, this government has a very good record when it comes to responding to freedom of information. We are one of the governments that has the most ambitious targets on these islands when it comes to, of course, responding to FOI legislation. Yes, there have undoubtedly been challenges. I was questioned on this issue at the last conveners group committee meeting yesterday. I responded by saying I'm more than happy to review and to look at, to investigate what further the Scottish Government can do to ensure that we are the most transparent government on these islands. That is what we will seek to do.
Thank you,
and what
members.
I would say to Anna Sarwar, there is, of course, legitimately a reason why ministers may have to sign off on freedom of information requests. I've made it very clear to our Cabinet Secretaries, to ministers, that when those approvals come up, that they should be, of course, signed off with urgency and with pace. And what I would say, Anna Sarwar, of course, mentioned Ferguson Shipyard. In relation to transparency, of course, the Minister, the Cabinet Secretary, came at the earliest opportunity. As soon as that written authority was provided, he came at the first opportunity, took questions, made sure he answered those questions. That, presiding officer, is not hiding away. That is transparency in action.
Anna Sarwar.
Presiding Officer, he says he's transparently hopeless, is what people will see right across the country. Because what we pointed to was facts, and what he should do is listen to his own Information Commissioner. Because, Presiding Officer, the SNP despise transparency. At every turn, they cover up failure and instead of confronting it. No answers on what is going to happen to their shambolic deposit return scheme. No answers on the ferry fiasco, despite years of delays and millions of pounds overspent. No answers for families bereaved by the scandal at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, and bullying investigations kept secret. Now, I asked the last First Minister to share the outcome of Fergus Ewing's bullying investigation, and she said it was legally impossible. But Humza Yousaf has now suggested he's had a change of heart. Why? Because the politician in question has the audacity to question the SNP leadership. So can I ask can the First Minister tell me, does he believe in transparency every day, or just when he desperately needs it to try and intimidate his critics?
First Minister.
Desperate stuff, presiding officer. As I said, when Anna Sarwar, somebody who has lots of style but no substance, comes to this chamber and demands we take action, when he demands we take action, but has no facts to back it up, that's when you know how desperate Anna Sarwar really is, presiding officer. So let me give him some of the facts that were missing, of course, from his question. Here are some of the facts. Scotland has been a member of the Open Government Partnership since 2016. In 2022, last year, we handled more than 4,500 freedom of information requests, and 86%, more than 8 out of 10 of those responses came within 20 working days. We want to do more. I think we should try to see if we can improve that rate of response where we can. And on DRS, which is incredible, it now seems that Anna Sarwar is taking the side of the Cabinet's man in Scotland. He is taking the side of the party that is determined to undermine devolution. Anna Sarwar, so desperate to attack the SNP, he's siding with the party that opposed the creation of the Scottish Parliament in the first place, presiding officer. And when it comes to the question he asked in relation to ministerial complaints, my view has not changed from my predecessor. She was absolutely right. We have an obligation in government to, of course, ensure we take legal advice where appropriate and to make sure that we adhere to that legal advice when it comes to any issue, including complaints around former ministers. So I will continue to make sure I take that responsible approach, but of course I will also continue to make sure we do everything we can as a government to be as open and transparent as we possibly can.